Wesley's played really good chess. He just also has played Magnus Carlsen. And that's probably the right strategy. Like, why take another 3 minutes off the clock, psychologically abusing yourself because you're in a bad position? And two, look at the countdown clock. You just got below 50 minutes for the first time today, right? 48 minutes plus. You got to get a dub or two here in the 5-minute portion, Danya.
And this is what Wesley was doing to Alireza in their match, right? This is exactly what started happening, except Alireza is amazing, but Magnus is Magnus, right? If you go down 5 points against him, there's zero guarantees that he takes his foot off the gas pedal. Most people, they do subconsciously relax. Magnus is almost the other way around. I think Wesley is like that as well, generally speaking. But you get into a big deficit against Carlsen and zero guarantees that he's going to give you a single chance throughout the rest of the match.
Yeah. Yep. It can be ruthless. It can be brutal. Wesley is
Ruy Lopez.
Amazing. Agreed, chat. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Agreed town population.
Just reading comments, rooting for both players. Yeah, we're rooting for everyone. We're rooting for a close match. Right now, I'm openly rooting for Wesley So to get a dub, but you have to appreciate what's happening here. As a Magnus Carlsen fan, we've been watching him do this for many a moon, as they say scientifically. It has been many a moon since we've seen Magnus play chess like this, and it's amazing.
Well said. And we have another Ruy Lopez, where Wesley has deployed his bishop to a7, much like you do in the Italian. And this position looks much more like an Italian than a Ruy Lopez. Recently, we have had a lot of lines that end up transposing from the two openings. And I actually think we do have a direct transposition into a line of the Italian.
And again, that can often happen in Ruy Lopez when black brings the bishop to c5 versus the, I guess, slightly more traditional square on e7, the archangel development of the dark square bishop. You can have this same structure in a lot of Ruy Lopez's for black, everyone, but that bishop is over here. So this is an interesting change, gets us in an Italian where black kind of hopes for some long-term play, where that bishop is a sneaky kind of spying ninja in the long game.
And c5 poses serious problems for white in the center, because if you go d5, then black often pushes c4 and reopens the diagonal for the bishop. Magnus takes a different approach and keeps the tension in the center, tossing the ball back into Wesley's court. Now Wesley has to decide, okay, am I keeping the tension, or am I trading one more time on d4 and then applying pressure on the e4 pawn as a result? I think it's in Wesley's style to keep the tension with a move like bishop to b7, and then maybe rook c8, just trying to put some heat on the queen side.
Yep.
Or rook e8, maybe.
Shout out to chat. Tyler 1 is coming for Magnus. Your days at number 1 are numbered. Tyler 1. LOL. Insert League of Legends degrading comment by me. Just kidding. We love Tyler 1. And we love his chess even more than we love League of Legends. Bishop b7 is played. Here comes rook to c8, as you said. The structure changing means that white has the most obvious target on the board, which is the isolated d6 pawn. But often black will get a lot of pressure against e4 as well, although in this particular one, I'm really liking Magnus's chances to go after this pawn in a hurry.
Yeah, this could get incredibly tactical, because knight f5 will likely be met with d6, d5. I can guarantee you this is what Magnus is calculating right now. White pushes e5, black sticks a knight on e4, and then you get a very difficult position to calculate and evaluate. You could get a trade on e4. So Magnus has a lot to figure out.
I was going to say, let's look at it before he did it, but then Magnus played it. But let's bring up the analysis board anyway, because after knight f5, I think we're going to get d5 here. I don't know that Wesley has another move to deal with the pawn. So I think this line you called for, Danya, will be on the board. So let's look at it before the players get there.
I like bishop takes e4 and queen g4. That looks sexy.
Oh my gosh, I love it when you talk dirty like that. I love it when you talk like that. The Prophet strikes again. By the way, speaking of the Prophet, where is the Danya Naroditsky emote on this palette? I don't mean to call out my entire team and myself in the process, but this palette of faces has not been updated in way too long, and we need a Danya Naroditsky emote ASAP. Danya, I'm on it. I'm literally going to tell staff right now, clip it and ship it. Where is the Danya emote?
Well, thank you, Danny. I'm really touched.
I am just like, how did I do this? Let's clip that. Danya emote is a must.
I can't wait.
Send it to the product room. All right, we got it. We're all over it. All right, Danya. It didn't quite happen. So where are we at in the live game?
Okay,
we did
played
get
bishop
knight
e3.
e4. Okay.
Which is also a completely reasonable move, just eliminating black's strongest piece. Now Magnus is better here once again, I think.
Yeah, a slower move than the bishop takes e4, queen g4 forcing manner. But, it's also a positional one because you're highlighting that this pawn is actually, regardless of a weakness, it's actually not very good where it sits, right? Because it kind of blocks black's pieces and keeps them inactive. The one question I have, though, Danya, is e5 is a pawn here. And what's going on with that? Like
why can't you take it?
Yeah, I'm just missing tactics.
If you take it here, then there's bishop takes a7 and queen d4, I believe, forking the knight, the rook, and the g7 pawn. Very important, because that's what happens if you drop your knight from e5. If you play bishop takes e3, knight takes e3, which he did, by the way, the position on the board currently is takes queen b6. I don't know exactly why he couldn't take on e5 there. Maybe also queen d4. Whatever it is, maybe Wesley didn't even know, but Magnus gets in your head. He gets under your skin, and you start to trust everything he does is the perfect move. And that's what you really, really want to avoid. Now, Magnus can send his h-pawn up the board. He can eliminate the knight on e4 at any moment, but then you're opening up the d file, and you're giving black's rooks better prospects. So it's a committal decision to take on e4 here, as tempting as it is, and he does.
He does. He does take
queen
it.
d6, maybe, yeah, but okay.
But okay. All right, bishop takes e4. Oh, he goes for the end game. That's a little surprising. Queen d6. He wants the d pawn. I'll point out that this knight may not be traditionally dominated by a Robert Hess obligatory 3-pawn away, but the knight doesn't feel very good there if you trade on d6 and take. He lacks a lot of squares, and this d pawn is dangerous.
Curious how Magnus is going to recapture, because it's not a given that he takes with the pawn. Yeah, he can take with the knight with tempo, and that bishop on b7 is gasping for air, Danny. Bishop c6, you could target it with rook a c1, and then black can take on e5. So there's a lot to calculate there, and that's why Magnus is pausing. And he does take with the pawn. He does
take with the pawn. Maybe you were right. Maybe that was the more accurate approach. But I originally liked this because I feel like if I'm going to just put my rooks here anyway, I've got the d pawn, I've got the c file. The knight can come to check at some point if there's a tactical reason to do so, i.e. you want to challenge my file, I fork you. So this is just so tough for black to play this.
Great example of a position where the eval bar is ridiculously misleading. It was showing equality. Apparently black had to find knight f4. And I'm not saying that Wesley's lost or anything, but try to look at this position with your own eyes, right? Who would you rather be? Find me a single person who says black and who isn't being, contrarian.
By the way, knight f4, I love that you said that the engine said that, because sometimes we can learn things from our computer friends, even though they irritate us. The knight on f4 was key, Danya, not just because it fixed the knight problem that I was highlighting, this is the best defensive square, but it actually prevented the rooks from coming to c1 because of a fork on e2.
Great point.
Knight f4 was the best move by anyone here, and Wesley couldn't find it.
But now Magnus's knights are going to be all over black. Knight e7 check, the other knight's going to come into d5, and you've got forks galore in knight b6.
Yeah.
And white's rook, of course, is itching. It's itching to park itself on c7. And oh my gosh, I think Wesley's best chance might be actually Magnus's clock. He needs to try to create practical difficulties for Magnus, who's taking his time, trying to decide which piece he wants to activate first. Okay, a4, trying to go for activate the a1 rook.
a4 to activate the a1 rook. By the way, knight 3 to d5, as you called, was the best move there. All right, a4, bishop d7. This is instructive to get all your pieces in the game, though, and I also just still feel like this position is just so hard for black to play. You can't challenge the open file. There are looming tactics everywhere.
Okay, but this is not going in Magnus's direction, because now, Danny, rook a to d8. Okay, the knight can sink its teeth into d3. Then you could put a rook on d8, and the d6 pawn could very well turn from a strength to a weakness. Maybe it already has.
Okay. All right, yeah, Magnus did let this slip. We'll see if Wesley can convert. He's also up on the clock, as you already said.
Okay, now rook d8, and Wesley's making strides here. g6 f5 is an idea to connect your pawn chain on the king side. Hard for white to make progress with that bishop on b5 so well cemented by the pawn on a6.
Yeah, that's a really good point, protecting each other. The a-pawn keeps the rook out of the file, and it protects the bishop to hold down the center light squares. So This is okay. Magnus down under 10 seconds. This is possibly Wesley's chance to strike.
Absolutely his chance to strike. He's going to strike with f7, f5, and then I think Magnus wants to involve that e3 knight and maybe bring it up to c4 and over to a5. So it's not like black is out of danger, but if Wesley treads carefully, then he should be in the driver's seat here as he brings his knight back and was threatening the fork on b3.
Yeah.
And now maybe rook f7 or something like that.
Rook f7. I was wondering if we could go after putting pressure on the pawn just to keep those pieces stuck and maybe threaten to take. But, okay. Rook f7 maybe safer.
Well, it threatens rook takes c7.
Mm-hmm. Rook f7
Danny.
threatens rook takes e7. Yeah. Okay, he goes for the move I was saying, but your move was better. Rook f7. He takes back. The d6 pawn is getting closer to falling.
Okay, rook, where does it go? Rook e6 walks into knight c7. We could get a repetition of moves here. Knight c7 back to d5. But Wesley playing for a win. And I think he has to go back to f6. I don't think... Oh, he goes to the king. And that looks really risky to my eyes.
You can't even take d6. In the end, white wins the piece back with rook e6 check. I wonder if he blundered that.
And look at Magnus's pawn. c5 is coming. And he's going to have connected passers. Oh,
Two passes are better than one. And you're losing to the fork. Oh, and Wesley throws his hand.